Hello, this is Roger over at Bear Behind, and I know it's really late in the year, but these girls have been pushing the last flow for goldenrod and asters to finish up the honey supers. And I originally wasn't going to put honey supers on, but this hive had been so productive and there was so much honey stored in the upper box, I thought I'd try moving a couple supers on. The next thing that happened to me was the queen started laying in the red box. So I put a queen excluder on after making sure she wasn't up top. I think you were with me when I checked it a few weeks ago. Maybe I haven't posted the video yet. But the brood was hatching and we were getting a nice backfill of honey in here. We had a fair amount of honey in this box as well, and they were pulling honey into this one. So it's October 2nd, and I've got to get these things off and be able to start doing my feeding routine to get these girls ready for winter. What I'm fixing to do is pull these boxes off, and then take a water content reading, and then decide whether I'm going to keep the honey or go from there. I do not want to overwinter with honey supers on, and I know that's kind of contrary to what a lot of folks do. It's just a technique that I'm going to do this year. In past years I have had honey supers on double deeps, and what I find is that the honey supers just get fouled, and it's just between moisture or mold. I think it's too much space for the bees in this area for what I'm raising. So I'm either trying to overwinter colonies that are too small, or I'm trying to give them too much space for our area. And I don't know what the right answer is, but this year I am going to do my best not to do these, because I just find they get dirty, they get crystallized, and it's just a mess to deal with. So let's crack it open and see what we got going on. What's a spider doing in there? Girls aren't supposed to let spiders in your hive. What's going on? Excuse me. Let me get my hive tool in there, please. Thank you. Come on, go on. It's a warm day. Shouldn't be too upset with me. So it's pretty heavy, starting to get capped. I do need to do a water content on this before I spin it, but because everything is getting capped, I am going to be pretty confident that this will be good honey. If the water content is too high, I'll simply use it for brewing or making some hard cider. But here's the next frame over, and it's absolutely gorgeous, getting nice and packed and getting capped. I probably should have brought my little refractometer out with me just to do some double checking. There's a good chance that I am a week ahead of where these girls should be. But in all honesty, I gotta get this over with. And not just to finish it up, but just so they can start buttoning up and putting all the propolis in the cracks that they need to. We're gonna have a few more days of nice, we're gonna have a few more nice days. Yeah, I think this is going to be worth the risk of some opened honey, uncapped honey, just from where all the rest of these frames are sitting. I think we're going to be fine. Like here, some just getting backfilled from when she had some brood up there, but I think we're all right. It could very well be that I am just being greedy. And I am moving this into a different position on purpose, just to see if over today, while the skateboard is on, if they'll do some capping while they're zipping around. I know, you're not very happy with me being here today. But it's warm, it's sunny. Sure, girl should be a little happy. I don't know if you can see it from the angle of the camera, but I was concerned about robbing, so I took off my inner cover in an attempt to keep bees from going in the upper entrance that came with that inner cover. And I put these nickels on here. I think you've seen them in a couple other videos, just to help with some airflow. I'm going to keep those on for at least another few days, as these for 24 hours. Wow, that's heavy. I'm going to keep them on to help with airflow as the bees escape out. Wow. I think I'm going to be fine with honey production out of this hive. How are you girls doing? I guess you're the same girls, but... My biggest concern is that they would have decided to use honey off of this super. Kind of consuming it. What we've had, what I think is a decent aster flow. Yeah, this is a little lighter. That's alright, I think I'm going to get a good solid super. Alright girls, let's take this queen excluder off. I know, nobody likes smoke. In my smoker, I'm using a mix of burlap, cedar shavings, and some pellets I got at our bee supply store up in one of our nearby towns. I wasn't really a fan of the idea of buying smoker fuel, but I wanted to support these guys, so I just bought a little thing of it. I have to admit, I've been pretty happy with it. If nothing else, it's been a great starter to get some hot coals in there in the smoker. And then I just wedge burlap in and it takes right off. Alright, sweeties, let's see what we got going on here. Excuse me, please. So, as suspected, they are storing honey in the they're storing honey in the outer frames, and I think this is going to be just fine between what I give them for syrup later on. For their winter storages. And no surprise, I'm not seeing drones. See, here's a massive honey frame. Starting to get capped. I don't think they'll be want for food. Yeah, it's getting good and capped. Oh, starting to get some brood in there. Last little remnants of brood. No drones though. Odd that not filling it up higher. So since I got this hive open, I thought I'd just kind of look and see if the ladies were doing any sort of brood rearing up top. So I do have some brood in there, mostly all honey backfill. All honey there. Oh, there's a drone. Not everybody's been kicked out yet, but there aren't a lot of them. October 1st, and I still have at least one drone. Alright, so here we have a lot more brood, drones, and they're getting the sun a little better. I have eggs and healthy brood. And she's backfilling some of that brood in these upper chambers. So, because I see eggs, I'm not going to tear this up anymore. risk mushing her this time of year. I do have some drone comb in the bottom of this for integrated pest management. I am not going to pull that out. But what I might do is if when I open this up, good, I didn't squish her. When I open this up in a couple of days, 24 hours really, pull my honey supers, I might take a frame of honey from down here if it looks good, and just give her a little more room for both feeding and for brood rearing. This looks pretty good. I know, you're sick of me. I'll be gone in a minute. You can get back to doing that voodoo you do best. I suppose I could give you a little smoke, but we're almost done. And what I'm doing here is I'm just smoking them down so I can get some of this burr comb off without hurting a bee. Just so it'll be easier for the escape board to work a little better. Excuse me, please, bees. Alright. And I'm sure most of you have seen these before, but these escape boards are kind of like a little one-way trip. The bees smell their sisters down there, they go in this little hole, then they get guided through and then come out these other little channels, and then it's just harder for them to get back in. It's not completely bee proof, but it really helps in clearing the supers without using a lot of chemicals. Now the drawback is, oh sorry sweetie, you really shouldn't leave these on, the bee escape boards, you really shouldn't leave them on much more than 24 hours because they will figure out how to get in and out of there. But if you can get in and out quickly, I find it's a really great technique, and it saves me a lot of hassle instead of smoking or using a blow dryer to get the bees off the frames. Excuse me. I know, that's the worst part. Can't always see if they're in there. Alright, so I got 1, 2, 3 nickels on there. Cover them up so they can't get back in through the top, as well as any other robbers getting in through the top. We've got eggs, so we get the proper brick. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. So I've been using these in-hive feeders. They're a little on the bigger side. They hold just a little over a gallon, and I like them a lot. They've got a bee ladder here, but what I found though is that the girls are still drowning even in this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut some floats, not the entire size, but just so I've got a stick in there that they can give them another chance. And I'll show you that in a minute. So here's a little float, just a couple inches worth of maple, just big enough to fit in the hole, just to give the girls another chance of something to climb out on. So I forgot to turn the camera back on, but you can see that I still have the bee board, bee escape on there, and I popped my first honey super off. But you can really see the difference in the number of bees just in about 24 hours with that bee escape on. So here's the frame with just a few bees on it, not the frame, the box. And here is the difference in the bee escape. So hopefully you can see this without me destroying it too much. So you can see the number of bees and how it works to invite them to slowly work their way out. So I really like this thing. I just remember, don't leave it on more than a couple of days because they will start to find their way back. So because I'm taking their honey stores, we're going to take a quick look inside here and make sure that the top box has got some good honey frames. And from the look of it, I think it does, but we're just going to make sure we're not going to tear these girls completely apart. But we are going to look for some eggs, and we're going to look to make sure that we've got some stuff full of honey. If we don't have frames full of honey, also known as stuff, what we'll do is we'll take some out, take the empty ones out, and we will add feed. But as you can, maybe you can see, I'm not so good with the phone camera. As you can see, they're really starting to backfill and get a lot of reserves in here. So we got some nice bee bread, lots of capped honey, and I'm tempted to be greedy and take this, but I really want these girls to survive the winter. Look at this, we got brood in the top box already. Looking really good. All I gotta do is find an egg or two. All I gotta do is find an egg or two and I'll be one happy guy. And I got them. I don't know if you can see in that corner, but I've got a couple eggs. So I'm going to leave these girls alone. And I was going to put feed on them, but there is so much in here. I think I'm just going to leave it alone and maybe give them a top feeder. Although part of me says I should double check and make sure there's no drone comb. No green drone comb. I thought I pulled it all out, but I didn't make good records. I thought I could be clever and just remember what I'm doing with 4 hives. Clearly I'm not that clever. But everything is really heavy, really filled out. She is laying, not a lot, but honestly, from what I understand, I don't expect you to do a ton of laying this time of year. So what I'm doing is just making sure there's no undrawn comb on the bottom. And I don't know if you can see it from there, but I got drone comb. So I need to pull this out for the winter and do some manipulating, because this won't do them a lick of good. And if they haven't drawn it out, there's really no point. And look at that. They haven't drawn it out. So I need to either wax it better or get it in earlier in the year. All right. I just happen to have some drawn comb. So let's see if we need to do some other manipulation. Hey, you're not invited. Big old wasps try to get in there. So let's see what else we got going on. So this frame has a little honey, not a lot, but it's pretty empty. So this tells me I probably need to feed them. After all, even though that top box was looking really good. So here's another one. No eggs. No eggs. No stores. Well, we got a little bit of stores up top. Let's see what the next one looks like. All right, so here's a good example. Not really drawn, not a lot of storage going on, hardly any storage going on. We're just going to look for our queen real quick. Why she'd be on the outside, I have no idea, but it's good to look. All right, so we're going to shake this off and do some manipulation. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some honey frames from the top. I'm just going to put them on the bottom. can get to them a little easier. Oh, I'm getting tapped. I think we need to put a little smoke on there. I have outstayed my welcome. But we're going to make sure that this is right and not right now. Okay. I know it's a lot of smoke, but what I'm going to do, just so I don't mush any more bees than I have to, I'm just going to clean up some of this burr that was holding those frames together. So I don't squish anybody like that girl. I'm always torn between rushing and taking too much time. I don't like it when you rush. Alright, so that's pretty clean. Oh, get this on the top. Excuse me, please, girls. Get in there. It's awful because you try to save two, and you probably mush more. All right. So we got our, I don't know if you can see them, but I got my little floats in there. And now every hive has a feeder inside and on the top. Look at this. They're already smelling the honey juice. Sugar water, I should say. Glad you like it. We better get that done. All right, I think that was successful. We've got feed in there. Alright, I think that was successful. We got feed, we removed some drone comb that wasn't being used. We pulled out kind of a frame that's more than likely not going to get filled out. And we got some feed on the girls. And we saw eggs, so they get a brick face up. All right, mission accomplished. We'll check in another couple of days, and hopefully tomorrow I'll be spending some money.